Good evening, good evening, good evening. It is Thursday, and what does that mean? It is time for the Herpreneur Network's Her Talks. I am your host, Dr. Angela House, and tonight I have a super dynamic guest, Miss Nicole Williams. She is a professional counselor, she's a public speaker, she's a mental health expert. And when I tell you tonight, this is going to be a one of a kind interview. Sit down, grab your hats, grab something to drink, hold on to your seat because we are going to be blasting off. This is part of the Herpreneur Networks. As you know, for you that always follow, the Herpreneur Networks is a network of Christian women in business and ministry. We collaborate together, we create together, and we celebrate together. We are entrepreneurs, we are people in ministry, we are women that hold each other's arms up, we keep our crown straight, and we are looking for you. If you're looking for this environment, if you're looking for a network that can help you grow, help you reach where it is that you're looking for, bring you into higher heights, then the Herpreneur Network is for you. You should join this network. You can join absolutely free so that you can see what we're about, get a taste of the goodness, and then you can decide if you want to join on a membership level. But tonight, enough about the Herpreneur Network. We are going back to our guest, Miss Nicole Williams. It is my profound pleasure and honor to have you with us tonight.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Now, we do have the Mental Health Summit that is coming up next week, as a matter of fact.
Yes.
It is all about mental health, and she is going to be one of our expert panelists. So tell us about you and what you do.
So, as you mentioned, I am a licensed professional counselor. I'm also a licensed substance abuse therapist, and I'm also a voiceover artist and a keynote speaker, transformational coach. So I wear all those hats. I do all those things. And at the end of the day, I am a woman of God on her mission to do what I'm put here to do. So I'm here to help women empower themselves. I'm here to help women renew their minds by showing them that using your fear to be fulfilled in everything you need, using it as a stepping stone and not something to hold you back. So that is my sheer mission in life, is to make sure that women understand how powerful they are and that everything they have is everything they need to be everything they want to be.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So I got a few questions for you.
Mm-hmm.
How did you get into mental health?
Oh, wow. So funny, because growing up, I wanted to be a librarian. And
That's a big jump.
right. I love books. I love reading. I wanted to be a librarian. I went to the library every weekend, got pizza and for reading books and things like that. And my mother, who is Caribbean, my family's from Trinidad and Tobago. My whole family's Caribbean.
Okay.
So my mom, in her great Caribbean way, told me, "Charlie, you talk too much." She said, "I talk too much." She said, "You talk too much to be a librarian. They're going to kick you out the library." That was back in the day when you couldn't talk in the library. Now you can do everything in the library.
Yeah, that's true.
So I said I wanted to be a doctor. I was going to be a pediatrician, and I went on for medical school and everything. And I realized that medicine was not I didn't like the medicine part. I liked the talking part. And I was working at Capital One at the time, finishing my master's degree. And my old next door neighbor, whose husband was actually the first black psychologist in our city, which I didn't know at the time. She asked me about therapy, and I was working at Capital One, and Capital One had a big layoff. And as God would have it, she asked me if I wanted to do, therapy. And I was like, sure. I mean, why not? And started out doing it and loved it, and realized that that's what God called me to. As much as I talk, use that. As much as I listen and hear people's issues and problems, go ahead and use that. So I did. And then that started my journey. And I started a community-based company I had for 16 years. Then I branched out and did an outpatient company and speaking, and so goes the story.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. And I laugh because I think most of us as public speakers have the same story. When I was little, the one grade I always got in class was conduct. Everything else was A's and B's. It was that conduct thing. And I grew up in a time when the teacher came to your house. If she just didn't talk so much,
Mm-hmm.
Just didn't talk so much. So I learned late in life, and probably a lot later than I should have, that it was a gift and not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily the the worst thing that I could have done. So
Right.
I
Right.
understand that totally, totally, totally. So, what areas of mental health do you specialize in?
I specialize in anxiety, depression, trauma, substance abuse, and a little bit of emotional regulation. I do that kind of blends into everything. So those other areas are what I really specialize in with anxiety, depression, trauma, with stress, and substance abuse.
Okay. So, tell us a little bit of some nuggets that you would give to your clients, because even if you're not someone, we all have stress. I'm sorry.
Hmm. Right.
We don't admit it,
Right.
but we all have stress. I mean, we have stress at home, we stress paying bills. Nothing is easy these days. So we all
Hmm.
have stress. And I'm sure we all have a bit of anxiety and we don't even recognize that it may be anxiety. So give us
Correct.
some nuggets of things that we should look for, or things that we should do to making sure that we're maintaining our mental health.
Things I would say look for is when you start feeling yourself overworked, when you start feeling that you don't have the answers and you're running around, as we would say, like a chicken with your head cut off. Those are the times when you need to be in tune with yourself. If you are putting too many things on your plate and you find you're gaining weight or losing weight, overeating or undereating, spending too much money, out doing things just to make you feel good because you know you have some mental things going on, which means that sometimes we're running away from some things and we don't really sit and deal with it. Not understanding that if you sit and deal with it, that's the quicker it'll go away.
Right, right.
Once you work on it. But to maintain, I always tell people the one thing I leave people with all the time is having a day. I call it whatever Wednesday. I've been doing it since I was 18 years old when I was in college. My day is Wednesday. Everybody knows it. And that's the point that everybody should know. Your family members, your friends, everybody should know that's your time because they should not bother your time. Because if you do not respect that time to get yourself grounded, to keep yourself rooted every week, they won't respect that time. So I do that every Wednesday. I turn off my phone, take a bath. I can eat whatever I want, even if I'm on a diet. I can have pizza, a sub, I can have everything. And watch a movie. I can do whatever I want to do. I do my nails every Wednesday. At myself, I do it myself every Wednesday. And the only rule is that you cannot have anything that talks back or can talk. So my dog used to come because he can't talk, but you can't have anything with you.
I
Not a
got no.
husband, not a friend, nobody that talks, because this is supposed to be your time to check in with yourself every single week. And what happens is once you get into the routine of that, it's muscle memory. Your mind remembers, oh, it's Wednesday, so I should be getting a check in now. So my body can be regulated, my mind can be regulated, and then I can make sure that I'm straight for the rest of the week. So I give that nugget to people to grab a day. I have people who have thankful Thursdays, forget it Fridays, so what Saturdays. I mean, whatever they want to
That's
call
me.
it.
That's me. So what
So what
Saturday? I'm a
Saturday?
so what Saturday girl.
So, and it doesn't have to be the whole day, just some hours that's just yours.
Mhm.
Because if you can't live with you for 3 to 4 hours by yourself and be happy with that, how do you expect people to want to be around you for 3 to 4 hours if you can't be around you for 3 to 4 hours?
That's a good point. That is really, really a
Yeah.
good point.
So that will help ground you. And also I work out. So and the workout doesn't have to mean you pumping a lot of heavy weights. It could be simple walking. I do 2 miles a day walking with music or listening to something, a podcast. I do Pilates. I tell people find something that works for you. If you like tennis or whatever, do that. But do something every day for your body, your mind, and your spirit. And that will keep your anxiety levels low. And also, like you said, we have stress. Everybody has stress.
Oh yes.
You can't get away from that. So it's managing the stress. And that's the best way to manage it is to stay on top of it and not let it pile up.
Awesome, awesome. Well, we had a couple of comments in here. We got Dr. Patricia Goodwin is in here. She's saying good evening, Queens. She is
Hello,
shared this.
Dr. Goodwin.
So she is very, she's my master P. She is a healing coach. So
Oh, yes.
yes, she's a minister and a healing coach. So this is her. She says she loves it. She loves it. She loves it, what she's hearing. So you are
Good.
already making an impact, Nicole. You're already making
Yes.
an impact. So tell us about some of the unique things that have you've been able to help people with a unique situation? And I know you can't divulge
Oh.
names, but I, from a mental health perspective, it's always something and it's never the same. And I can talk to five
Mhm.
of you at the same time, and you all have a different perspective or situation that has happened.
So, one I can say that I have clients who I've had for a while. Of course, my job is to always get them in to get them out, grow them up to get them out. I don't believe you have to be in counseling for 50 million years. If I'm not giving you tools to succeed, then what are we doing? Not that you don't need me at all, but you should be able to do some things on your own. And without saying names, of course, saying I had a client who came in who had been through about 5 therapists and not stuck with any of them over the course of 10 years.
Wow.
And she started with me, and we started off, and I'm a straight shooting counselor. I don't go around it. I figured this is what you come for, this is what you're going to get. So, and she has now been with me for about 7 years.
Wow.
And she went from every single week to now she only comes like once every 3 months just to check in because she's doing really well.
Huh?
And she said to me, I never thought I would get to this place, but you held me accountable. And then you gave me tools. I'm a homework giving counselor. So I give clients homework because I feel like you should be working harder than me. And you should be working on your things
That's a good
that
point. I like that. I
right.
like it.
You should be working harder than me. And I am here as a tool to help you get through what you're going through. I'm not a magician. I don't have a magic wand. I don't have a pill to make you better. But what I can say is that we can work together to help you process in your mind to get to a positive place. But that takes work and it's not easy. So I explained all these things to her, and no lie, she cried on laid on my floor and cried a couple times and said, I can't do it. And she was so overwhelmed and depressed. And she was, hospital, suicidal and things like that. And now she just said to me a few months ago, she has not had a suicidal thought in the past 3 years.
Praise God.
She's been
Amen.
she's back praise dancing at church. She's just doing a lot of things that she likes to do. And she doesn't mind because she tells her story to everybody. That's why I knew I could say something about her without giving names, but she will tell it to everybody that God sent her to me, and she was glad that he sent her to me to show her how to deal with her concerns and not just gloss over them. So now that she can, do it without me, but likes to check in. So that makes me feel good when I see success, and
Awesome.
success looks different to everybody. It's not the
It
same for
does. It
everybody.
does.
Her
Yeah.
success was, I'm not suicidal. I'm not depressed. She even went to college. She got a degree. She
Oh, listen to
she
that.
got a
This is good.
degree and
This is
everything
good.
now. And so, it's things like that. And when I ran methadone clinics when I was as a substance use director, and stories of people who came up to me on the street that I don't even remember because they look totally different because they're now sober and they look nothing like they did when they were coming to the clinic.
And let's talk
And
about that.
yeah.
Substance abuse has to be a hard thing to do for a counselor
Yes.
because you can look through and see what's there, and it's so
Mhm.
emancipated behind all of the drugs and how it's taking toll on that person.
Mhm.
Um, for me, I don't know if I could have been a drug abuse counselor
Mm.
because the only way I can put it is that not only would I have been aching for that person, I would have been angry because of the situation.
Mhm. Yeah, I can see that.
Because it's like you have all this talent and you can see all of the goodness and all of the value of this person, and they can't see it for themselves. How
Mhm.
how did you make your way through that? Those types of situations.
It's tough, but I try to get them to see what I see because I know if they're in certain situations, nobody's giving them that feedback. They're giving them you let me down. You stole my money. You're not a good mom. You're not a good sister or brother or whatever. They're getting that information. And all that at the time, all that might be true to their families. They still need to see the value in going on and keeping on and trying to be in a better space. And of course, you can't help everybody, but the the thing I liked when I was working in a methadone clinic was I would have them come in every day to tell me what was good about them. And they would get tired of it. Mr. Cole, I told you this yesterday. I said, I know, but I want you to tell me again today. What's good about you today? What do you have to contribute today? I don't have nothing to contribute. Well, what do you mean? Tell me what that means. What do you mean nothing? You're here, you're breathing. What did that mean? And I would make them find things that they could contribute, even if it was something small, like, oh, I like art. Okay, well, bring me something. Bring me a picture tomorrow. Bring me something. And they would start drawing things. All right, now draw me what you think your life should be like. All right, now draw me how you gonna get there. Like I would make them incorporate the things that they felt was
Yeah.
beneficial to them, because it didn't have to matter that it mattered to me. That doesn't, they don't care about that. You
Right.
know, when it comes to addiction and overcoming addictions, it has to matter to the person who's using the substance. It
Right.
can't be you hurting the family. You know, you using that doesn't really get to them. Not that they don't care, but that doesn't get to, it has to be something that matters for them. So the joy I would get out of it is helping them figure out their truth and their importance in the world, and not that they're nothing. And just because you're here doesn't mean you have to stay here. And that would get me through the bad times. That would get me through the hard times when I would stay overnight at the methadone clinic with someone who really wanted to be sober and clean. And that wasn't even part of my job. But I would lock the doors and let them go through withdrawals, and I just stay with them. And
Oh
because
wow.
I just wouldn't do it. And it was something I did outside of my scope, but it was something that meant a lot to them because they were valuable. And I let them know they were valuable. So I like addiction counseling because it's always a good story. They always got a good story for me about something that happened. I like a good story. I'm like, tell me what happened again. What happened? So I like a good story, but I also like them to see how that story could turn into success.
Awesome. 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 Now you do a variety of things, and we're kind of talking about mental health, and we're going to come back to mental health. But we also know that you are a public speaker.
Yes.
So, what are the topics that you speak around? I know one of them is mental health because you're going to be speaking to us next week. But what else do you speak of? Every speaker has like three topics or so that's their expertise. Tell us about you as a public speaker.
So mental health, of course, like you said, I have a couple of books on mental health. One we'll be talking about next week called
Oh,
Renew. Um, and the other two are college students. I work with college students,
oh, okay.
helping them to get over the stigma and the anxiety of going to college.
Mhm.
I'm writing finishing a book now called I'm Glad You Asked, which is I interviewed 7 college students that I knew personally who went to college and asked them, what do you wish someone told you that you didn't know before you went to college that you would tell somebody else? And what were the 3 things you did that was hard for you to get through college, or the things you didn't suspect? And they came out with, oh my gosh, I didn't know I was going to lose friends, or I was going to have to battle this, or felt like I was
Mm,
letting my parents down. And a lot of things that students don't think about, and sometimes make them fearful and not want to go to school because they hear all these horror stories. So I work with college students on helping them to succeed. I have a pamphlet for them called 4C Success Tools for You to Triumph. And I work with college students on that. I've done trio programs. I'm familiar with trio, but I've done trio speaking, and that's like Upward Bound, things like that in the
okay.
college.
I went to Upward
So
Bound my
yes,
senior year.
I was in Upward Bound.
I was Upward
Yes,
Bound my junior senior years. We prepared to
yes,
go.
yes.
Yeah.
I was in Upward Bound, and me being a first generation college student of immigrant parents, I talk to those who come and their parents and no one's ever been to college before, so they have this big weight on them, and I have to, let them know it's okay. We talk about the stresses of that. The other thing I talk about is business, because I am a business owner,
Mhm.
and I talk about leadership skills. I talk about ways to balance your business and your life, and I also talk about ways to have unity in your workplace.
And that's good because that kind of ties back into your mental health, finding the balance between those things.
Hmm.
One of the things often entrepreneurs find is that we don't balance well. I think that's probably the number one frustration
Yes.
because you're trying to balance your business. If you're starting your business while you're still in corporate America, so you're trying to
Right.
balance your job, you're trying to balance your business, you got to come home, you got to balance. Even if you're single, you got to come home and balance your self care and the things that you have to do, and it's magnified if you've got children and a husband.
Yes.
So that's
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. All about the balance. You did touch on something that I did not know that you did.
What's that?
I heard you say you do voiceovers. Tell us about that.
Oh, yes. So, as my sign back here says live on the air, I am a voiceover artist, and have books, children's book published and some other self-help things. So I started off with that and always wanted to be one of the voices like on Disney or Pixar, one of
Yeah.
those, talking animals and things like that.
Hmm.
So, I started doing voiceover work and recording reading books, those audibles, like you get audible books.
Yeah.
So, working on some of those. It's a hard industry because it's like acting. So you have to, get a gig and put yourself out there. So for now, I have my books out, but outside of that, working on some other books that I'm trying to get on and eventually wanting to be on movies. So I'm auditioning for some movies and things like that. I've had radio people come to me and say, "Why aren't you on the radio? Why don't you do something with your voice?" And I never thought about it, and then I hear it all the time, and
Yeah.
especially from people who are already in the industry. And during during COVID, I think I just kind of played around with it, and then last year I built this studio in my house and actually got a coach, and
Awesome.
now I'm getting coached to actually fulfill that dream. So
Good for you. Good
hopefully
for
I'll
you.
be on a Pixar. Not hopefully, I will be on a Pixar or Disney one day. That's Nicole. That's me.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Something to reach for. A dream become true. This
Yeah.
is the Herpreneur Network, Her Talks. If you just popping in, I have the dynamic Miss Nicole Williams, who is a professional counselor. She is a public speaker. I found out tonight she is a voiceover artist, and she is going to be a part of the Herpreneur Mental Health Summit next week. She is going to be one of our speakers, and she is giving us some real tips and gems on how you can control your mental health, how you can balance things out. So, if you had to give some tips, Nicole,
Mm-hmm.
what would be three things that you would tell a person that is crucial for them to be aware of? Because sometimes we're having mental health issues and we don't know it. We don't
Mm-hmm.
know that we're depressed. Some other person may say you're okay and you're like, I'm fine, because you don't realize it yourself. But
Mm-hmm.
the outside of you, on the inside, you think you're fine, but on the outside, is showing what is really happening.
Right.
So, what are three things or three nuggets you would drop for someone so that they can recognize when things may be off kilter without recognizing it?
I would say have good communication with the people you live with. And if
Hmm.
you don't live with anybody, have good communication with people who are very close to you, whether they're friends or people you talk to on a regular basis, because they notice things about you before you do.
Right.
And I would give them the green light, to be honest with you, and tell them, if you ever see me falling off or slacking or something's not right, bring it to my attention because I probably don't know. And I really need your help to make sure I keep my mental health together and make sure I keep myself together. Um, that opens some kind of trust with the other person to be okay to tell you, hey, sis, you're looking a little off. What's going on? Or, you losing a lot of weight or you look nervous. Sometimes people are scared to tell people that because they want to offend people. They don't want you to get mad. So one thing I tell people is make sure your support system is aware that you give them permission to let you know when you look a little crazy or you look a little funny or
Right.
something's not right. Give them permission because people I found that people are scared to tell people what they really think because they don't want somebody to be upset. But that's one thing I think really helps a lot is to make sure that people around you know. I would say the other thing is when you find your routine being off and you're not being able to sleep well,
Mm.
or you are finding yourself, I would even say, spending money or doing things you don't normally do. If you're not somebody that's always shopping and then you just, oh, it's a sale at Target, now you just out spending money you don't normally spend, Why are we doing that? What are you doing? So, you have to tell yourself when my routine looks a little different, then I need to look at myself. And I'm very spontaneous. So, as spontaneous as I am, I still have a routine.
I got you.
I still go to the gym every day. I still, go to work. I got my little, I want to walk. I mean, it's things that I do on a repeat basis, even though I'm spontaneous. But I
Right.
also notice when I'm not doing those things. And
Mhm.
then I said, why is it that I feel I done watched this whole Netflix series in one day? What am I doing? What am I doing? And it's not because I'm bored. It's because I'm either, something's going on in my mind. I want to deal with something. This is easier just to lay here. And you have to really check in with yourself and say, why is my routine off? So being self-aware is very big.
Yes, it
Um,
is.
and notice I said self. You got to be aware.
Right.
You are with you all
Exactly.
day and
Exactly.
all night. So you have to be aware of what's going on with you. And I would say the third thing is, um, if you're a woman of faith, which I'm, hoping everybody is of faith, and your prayer life is off, you
Mm,
not you
that's
not giving
good.
God any kind of time.
That's good.
You popping in and I listened to a 3-minute podcast and then that was it. That's all you got. Like what? Why? Where is your input into yourself? If you see that you are not feeding yourself good things from the Bible, good things from positive things you're working on. If you're not feeding yourself, then you're only putting out junk. There's nothing good in, then nothing good comes out. So you have to make sure that you stay on the track of feeding yourself. So when you see your prayer life off, when you see things aren't going the way that you would like them to go, or some things are just a little different, check your prayer life and see did you check in or did you clock in today on the job or not, or if you're not clocked in, then God might be looking for you, like, are you coming to work today? So are you working for the Lord today? So I tell people, if you're a faith, and make sure you stay in tune with that so that you
Absolutely.
can notice things about yourself, because you will know, he will tell you.
Oh yeah. He will show you. He will show you, and you have to learn not to ignore him. That's
Hmm.
the other thing that we don't do well
Right.
is ignore the signs. So
Exactly.
that was really really good. So give us some techniques or tell us some techniques that we can use for self awareness. I guess from a mental health perspective, and then I'm going to ask you the same. And we're going to dive back into your public speaking, but from the mental health perspective, give us some techniques, some things that we should be aware of that can help us on a day to day basis.
Be aware of your surroundings. Be aware of the people you have in your circle. Be aware of your health, big one, because a lot of times we neglect that. We neglect that some people have high blood pressure and don't want to go to the doctor, or we don't think that eating a whole pizza is going to be a big deal, but it just might be. It just might be. If you eat a whole pizza and some donuts, that might be a big deal. um, but be aware of what you're putting in your mouth. Be aware of what you're letting in your ears, and be aware of what you're putting in front of your eyes.
Gotcha. That was good because we do that because my grandkids will come over and they want pizza, and I'll eat with them. Now I've already ate what I'm supposed to eat, so it's like,
Uh
Grandma,
huh.
have a slice of pizza. So I'm gonna do the slice of pizza. Then after a while, it's another slice of pizza, and then
Mm-hmm.
it's like, let's look at the movie and we're gonna make some popcorn and eat pizza. And I'm eating another little slice of pizza. So it's things like I have to be like, you in grandma mode. I know.
Right.
If this is what you're gonna do, then you have to make sure that tomorrow
Mm-hmm.
is gonna be a whole different kind of day.
Right.
Because I'm
Tomorrow you eat lettuce, all spinach all day.
work all day long, all day long. So when you talk about your public speaking, we talked about your subjects. So tell us how you prepare.
Oh, so preparation for public speaking for me is a task of me making sure that I'm comfortable with what I'm talking about and who I'm talking to.
Okay.
right? Because
Hmm.
it could be the same subject, but a totally different audience, or an audience that I've never seen before. They don't know me, I don't know them, kind of thing. But I prepare because I actually go over my material, and I am a story person. I remember things in stories. So if you told me a story of how you were six and skinned your knee and flipped over the bike and hit a house, and I'm gonna remember all of that because I like a good story.
Your storyteller.
So so for me, I prepare myself with stories. My subject lines have stories. If I'm talking about renew, like I'll be talking about next week, it's an acronym. So every acronym has a little story to go with it to
Right.
make sense. Because if it doesn't relate to the people, it doesn't make sense. It might make sense to me, but it has to relate so they understand what I'm talking about. And
Absolutely.
then I don't hold myself in a pigeonhole when it comes to speaking. I have an outline. I have the topics I want to talk about, but I also know things still flow a certain way,
Hmm.
depending on the audience or the crowd, or if it's I'm an interactive talker, so I like to please tell me what you think about this, and tell me what you think about this, and depending on sometimes the answers, the topics can go out of order, or depending on how interactive the crowd is,
Right.
or how
We'll go
interactive
another
the audience
direction.
is.
Yeah.
Right.
That goes into another
So
direction.
yeah, so I prepare in the way that I have my outline. I know the story that goes with what I'm talking about. I know the point I'm trying to get across. But I also know that people's attentions aren't spans aren't for so long.
True.
I know myself. If you catch me in the first 30 to 90 seconds, I'm not sure
Right.
I got me.
Yeah.
And because we're in that generation where it has to be quick. Like, what are you talking about? Get to the
Right.
point. What do you mean? What do you mean? And I like to grab people's attention right away. I don't want to make them wait for a meal. Like, the food is already ready. You just need to eat. So you're not waiting for me to cook. You're not waiting for me to put the food together. The food is ready. So let's
Right.
just eat.
Let's get to it.
So I like to come thinking they want to eat. They want to eat. Give them their little appetizer. Shouldn't be long. They just want to eat.
That's a
And if it
that's
gets
a great
into it
thing.
and they want more, great. Then we can stay at the table. And sometimes, how you go out with your friends and you chit chat, and you there for 3, 4 hours. You ate 2 hours ago.
Here we go. Right. Now you're
But the
on dessert
conversation
and,
was
and
so good. Now
aftertaste.
you're on dessert, and now you're thinking, should we order something else?
Right. Right. Exactly. Exactly. That was good.
So
That
I,
was
I
good.
think of speaking that way. The meal is already ready. I just need to come out ready to eat and let them eat and not have to wait for it. So that's how I prepare my speaking. And, if you're not nervous, then you're not ready. So I'm always nervous, even though I love speaking. There's always a little nervousness because you want to make sure that you're giving people what you're supposed to give them and not what you feel like you want, you know.
Exactly. That's good.
So
That's good. That was a good point. So now we know you do public speaking. We know that you do mental health. One other thing, and this is going to be a nugget for people that are new speakers or just started public speaking. What kind of guidance would you give them on managing their performance anxiety or stage fright? And it takes a while to get through that. And sometimes we get bad information. I remember when I
mhm.
first started speaking, somebody said, just imagine everybody in their underwear. And I looked at that person and I started laughing. She said, see, you broken it. I said, I can't do that because just the way I looked at you
Right.
there, I said, I'm going to be looking at these people. That's going to be a problem
Mhm.
because
Mhm.
they're going to try to figure out why am I laughing for the first 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But we know that stage fright and anxiety is real. Everybody's nervous. I don't care how seasoned you are. We all
Right.
have those butterflies. So, what advice would you give someone around that?
Practice, practice, practice. And practice with people you don't know.
Mm,
Go out places and just, if you have a topic, just talk a little bit about your topic to people that don't even know you. You could just be at a dinner and you're like, hey, have you ever heard of such? And just start talking about it. Practice. Because the more you say it, the more you do it around people you don't know, the more comfortable you are to say it in front of people. And I will also say, besides just practicing, is to make sure that you I have a routine. Like, before I'm gonna speak somewhere, I'm going to the gym. I'm going to do something to get this energy out. I need to get it out so that when I get there, I'm not all balled up and bent out of shape. And not that I won't still be nervous, but it helps. So
Right.
have some kind of routine. But the biggest thing that someone told me one time, it was my old bishop told me one time. He said, "Well, when you're in front of people, you wrote it. They don't know what you said. They don't know that you messed up. They didn't write it. You did."
That's a good point.
So
That's actually a good point.
I didn't think about that. He said the only way they know that you messed up is because you tell it. If you're the one that's saying, "Oh no, I didn't do that," and so you feeling bad, they don't know you messed up. So if it doesn't go like you thought it was supposed to go, change it up. Change it up and make it flow to where you are. Just put it
Yeah.
where you are. And he said, they don't know the difference. And that's, oh, I didn't think about that. He said, as long as you maintain the face and as long as you maintain the demeanor and interaction, they won't even be thinking about you messing up. And that'll give you some time to pull yourself together. Ask them a question. And while they answering your question,
Get
get
yourself
yourself together.
together.
He said, he said, he was talking about when he was preaching, he said, because sometimes I'm preaching. I'm like, that's not what I was trying to say. He said, but I can't think about that because they didn't write the sermon. Y'all don't know I messed up. So, I said, oh, that's a good point.
That
So
is a good point.
that's really what I do. I just think about how they don't know. So let me keep it going, you
Just
know.
pivot and realign.
Yeah. And I've had times where I actually did say, y'all, that's not what I was trying to say. And they got something out of it, but I would say, I forgot my next point. Y'all, that's not what I was trying to say. But y'all such a great audience. I just didn't even get to the next one. But this is what I was trying to say. And I'll get back into it because it helps me to get myself back at a calm level. And it makes you personable so they don't feel like you up here and they down here.
Yes.
They're looking like you just a regular old lady talking to us. We can receive from you.
Right.
So I try not to go out there so high and mighty and let them know I'm a lady delivering information. That's
And
all I am.
that's what we are. We're telling a story. We're weaving a
Yeah.
tale. We are, delivering information.
I'm just the postman. That's all.
Just
I'm the post lady. I'm just
don't get
delivering
slow like the
just
U.S.
delivering the
Post
mail.
Office is right now. You'll be on good ground.
I know,
uh, this has been good. So I'm going to take this little intermission right here. This is the Herpreneur Network's Her Talks. We are here every Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central. We go over a plethora of different topics. We have different guests. If you're interested for more information, just you see it there, the linktree.com. That will give you information, everything you need to know about the Herpreneur Network. If you're interested in becoming a part of this dynamic network, click the link tree. If you want to be on the show, click the link tree. Anything you want to know, you can hit the www.linktree.com, the Herpreneur Network. If you want to see us online and see the website, it is the herpreneurnetwork.com. It has all of the information. It shows us our leaders. We have Dr. Nikki, who I'm going to give a shout out to. She is the founder
right?
and visionary of this amazing network. It's 4 years old, and when I tell you we watched it grow and blossom. It has been a phenomenal journey. So come on in and be with us as we take the next stage of our journey, as we keep growing and glowing and just celebrating and collaborating and being in the Herpreneur Network, Christian women in business and in ministry. So that was my plug for that. We have some events that are going to be coming up next week. We have the Mental Health Summit. Nicole is going to be a part of a plethora of speakers that we have for that. Make sure you tune in next week. Keep watching Facebook for the Herpreneur Network so we can give you the agenda and the times that they will be speaking. We have the Her Awards that are going to be coming up in September. It's going to be in Montgomery, Alabama. It's going to be live. It's going to be phenomenal. That is an event that you don't want to miss. We have the Strong Her Retreat Cruise that is coming up in October. So if you want to join us, you can definitely see that this is a network on the move. We're even always into 2025. We're going to Dubai next April. We're having a Her Experience in Atlanta next August. So we're not just a stagnant group. We're a group that we grow together. We keep you accountable for each other. We flow together. and we give you visibility. All of these things that I just talked about are for your visibility. So if you want to be an entrepreneur, if you're an existing entrepreneur, if you need to align, if you're in ministry, check us out and see what we can help you. Every morning at 5:30 in the morning, Central Time, 6:30 Eastern Time, we have the weapon room where we get in and we pray and we are girded up with the full armor of God to get us through the day. So join the Herpreneur Network. It is a phenomenal. We got some phenomenal people. We've got Dr. Margie Stupert, who is also our Vice President of Administration, saying awesome information. Good evening, ladies. She is great. Dr. Patricia's been in here with us. We got Sandy Sanders, who has her own podcast. She is in here saying it, lady, you're delivering a message and she loves it. So we are on the go. So I'm not going to hold you up much longer, Nicole. But before we leave today, I want you to leave us with your parting thoughts.
Mm. My parting thoughts are always strive to be helpful, because being helpful is what we're all put here to do. We're all here to help. If we all helped each other out, there would be less people in need. So always strive to be helpful. But if you cannot be helpful, don't be hurtful.
Yes.
So that's what I always lead off with my Cole Live is my Instagram and Facebook, and it's Nicole Cole Live Williams on LinkedIn. And I always tell people, go be helpful. If you can't be helpful, don't be hurtful. You can only contribute two ways, and we want you to contribute the good way. So just always be in the ministry of helps is what I say.
And
be on the help ministry at all times.
that's office. That's what servant leaders do. You are in the ministry of help, and I like that. If you can't be helpful, don't be hurtful. That's a slogan within itself. That's a T-shirt right there.
Yeah. Don't worry, it's on a T-shirt. I got a T-shirt line on my website, ColeyColeLive.com. So it's that T-shirt is coming to online soon, because that one, it just came up and it's became a slogan. So now people say it all the time. Oh, don't, if you can't be helpful, don't be hurtful.
Absolutely. It has been my delight. It has been my pleasure to have you here.
Yes, thank
Audience,
you.
I thank you for being here with us tonight. Don't forget, next week is the Mental Health Summit. You're going to be seeing our flyers out on Facebook. Look at the Herpreneur Network. We will give you some more information. You can go to www.linktree.com, the Herpreneur Network, in order to get the information that you need. Nicole, again, it's been a pleasure. I'm
Thank you
going
for
to say
having me.
good night. Thank you. This has
Good
been
night.
great. So enjoyed speaking to you.
I
In
can't wait to see
audience,
you all next week. Thank you so much.
absolutely. In audience, thank you as usual. I will see you here next Thursday night, 6 Central, 7 Eastern. Good night, everyone. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.